players, yes, in players, then Michael will after your session, it will be a short period of question and answers. He will answer. He will retranslate questions from our viewers to you, and you will answer it. A short session, a Q&A after your speech. There is no, there would no viewers in the Zoom, only online. All is clear for you?
Да, окей. Это вырастет. Угу. Угу. Окей.
Я не знаю, куда вам удобнее, потому что у него здесь ручка громкости.
Не знаю, может быть, в карман или...
Ну, в кармане сидеть неудобно, но
или...
может быть в этот карман, может быть,
Он не открыто.
ну,
Или задний, или...
либо
Да,
на
давайте вот
пояс,
так, да,
на
поезд,
пояс,
да,
да,
давайте на
и
поезд. Угу.
просто, если что, поправить, дотянетесь. Или мы сейчас с вами поговорим, просто Макс поговорит с вами.
Угу.
Подстроите себе. Угу.
Это, у вас есть салфетки там? После,
Сейчас я узнаю. Ребята,
и линк мне очень... Раз, два, три, четыре. Я правильно место? Я сажусь правильно? Вот это...
принести из туалета салфетки промокнуть.
Да. Спасибо, я немножко боюсь, спасибо, я просто забыл взять с собой. Ой, да. Любить грилиш. Правильно? Ах, это гораздо это так приятно.
Hey, good man, Grealish, correct.
Виделись, не виделись, привет.
Привет, как дела? Right.
Так, смотри, ты сел, да? Хорошо, молодец, классно. Так, сядь, как ты будешь работать?
Сейчас вот так. И скрипт здесь. Вот так.
Ты сходил в барбершоп.
Да. Скоро, да? Hey, my name is Mike Gibson. И у меня есть линк здесь. Да, это просто, да, это будет просто здесь, рядом со мной, не видно, если вдруг... Спасибо большое. Eating apples eating apples.
Mary had a little lamb.
All mics are closes. We have no enough time to check everything. You just maybe could hear Michael. Michael couldn't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me?
Ready? Yes, I hear you. You just close by sound. We'll start in several minutes.
Okay.
Hurrah! Hello, my name is Mike Gibson. I'm an executive creative director and advertising consultant in the industry for over 20 years. And today I'm with you on the international course for managers and business owners Next MBA. I'm the host of the international course for managers and business owners Next MBA. I'm the host of the international course. I'm delighted to be with you today, and a big welcome to you all.
Так, сейчас, друзья, блядь, я не успеваю ни хрена. Так, are you ready to start? Your camera is on?
Yes.
Yes, we are ready to start in several minutes.
Okay.
Yes, Lucia, yeah.
How many people are online today? Just if you can hear me.
Sorry, I don't know about it. I'm just now prepare for our session, please.
Okay.
Sorry.
Hi, my name is Mike Gibson. Hello, everyone. My name is Mike Gibson. I'm an executive creative director and advertising consultant, active in the industry for more than 20 years. And today, I'm the host of the international. First of all, I'd like to remind you that all our courses. Okay. Still got any tag?
No.
Okay. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. U ciebie jest wobec очень сложно, я понял. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Mike Gibson. I'm an executive creative director and advertising consultant active in the industry for over 20 years. And I am the host of the international course for managers and business owners, Next MBA course. I'm delighted to be with you all today, and a big welcome to each and every one of you. Looking forward to a great afternoon of very interesting lectures, and we have a superb lineup for you. But first of all, I'd like to remind you that all of our courses here at Next MBA include 12 modules held twice a month on Saturdays, networking with potential partners in the social networks of the project, the ability to communicate directly with current top managers of international corporations or world-class experts to get individual advice and find a constructive solution to all your business challenges. Group assignments after each modules. Do make sure not to miss those, as it's one of the best ways to practice all the knowledge that you've gained and also the knowledge that you'll pick up this afternoon. So, for example, the last module, as you remember, was called Future of Content Marketing and was then followed by group assignments. All of you lot, our talented students, had 2 weeks to prepare your presentations on different topics. And last Saturday, we had a mega Zoom meeting where 8 teams presented and all the other students were invited to attend. It was a great occasion, a wonderful afternoon, and a lot of impressive material and insights was shared. You can all be part of that. You can join this program at any time because the course is cyclical and the modules you missed will be repeated in the next cycle. To the right of the YouTube broadcast player, you can leave your comments and questions to the speaker. I will then moderate them and voice them during the question and answer session after each of the lectures. Today, we're also having students from Brazil and Mexico. Your questions will be presented to me. Don't worry. All very exciting. You must, of course, have a valid YouTube account in order to comment. So please register if you've not yet done so. Log in, and if you don't see the chat, try another device or browser. Connect, discuss the broadcast with other participants, and look for partners and like-minded people. We'd love to know where you are currently watching in the world, so tell us where you are if you haven't already told us. I see in the chat a fantastic lineup. People from Indonesia, from Brazil, Dubai, Philippines, Italy, Dallas, Texas, Pakistan, Poland, Dominican Republic, Bangladesh, Romania, Sweden, Argentina, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, Spain, and that's not all. There are still many more coming in. Great to have you all, literally the whole world out there connected together. So, the timing for today is as follows. Starting now at 12 o'clock GMT, we'll have Hubert Grealish, and his topic is brand leadership and new storytelling themes. Then at 13:30 GMT, we'll have Eric Aldrin, and his topic is brand positioning across emerging platforms. And then at 1500 hours GMT, we have the legendary Philip Kotler. He will be doing a question and answer session, and he will start that with a presentation called Winning at Innovation. For those of you who don't know, we have a Telegram channel where you can find all the necessary information and updates about the course and our activities. The link to the chat can be found in the pinned post in the YouTube chat. Also, we have some features to announce. You can upgrade your account to a pro level with access to the library of more than 50 lectures from various different speakers that were previously held in Next MBA, including Philip Kotler, Guy Kawasaki, Lars Silberbaum, Jack Canfield, and many, many others. So why not upgrade your account and get the best possible experience from your online education? And now it's time to listen to our first speaker today, who is Hubert Grealish. He's going to speak to us on brand leadership and new storytelling themes. Hubert is as a reputation and brand sales driver with a talent for strategic business communications, with a diverse range of passions spanning creativity, music, technology, AI, and entrepreneurship. Hubert integrates sustainability values and modern leadership principles into his incisive strategies. As a trusted advisor, consultant, and academic professor, Hubert brings extensive experience as a founder and cultivates a unique network of current and future leaders. Working with leading brands such as Google, Facebook, and LinkedIn, he generates substantial revenue through ahead of the curve digital business strategies. He's also a co-author of the highly regarded book, Little Black Book of PR. So, Hubert, hi, great to have you with us, and looking forward to your lecture this afternoon, and over to you. So we got a slight issue there with the sound. We'll be back in just a second.
Мы под заставочкой, секунду.
And we
Zoom
will,
аудио
all will
закрыто.
be well.
Он почему-то не открыл Zoom.
As we all
Sorry,
know,
you don't.
IT can be very
You will close
challenging,
your microphone.
and we've added
Да, всё закрыто.
Spanish
То есть
and
мы под заставкой.
Portuguese to the mix
Please
today.
turn on your microphone. Close your microphone.
Oh, there we
With the
go.
closed microphone.
Yes, there we go.
Michael will return to you. After that, you will introduce it again. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Not at all. Please start with the first slide. Return to the first slide.
Okay.
А что, я был без звука раньше?
Michael, prepare.
Я не понял. Я был без звука совсем? И надо все текст повторить?
Please, Hubert, please
Yes.
return to the first slide. First slide, please. Back. Yes.
No.
Okay, Mike.
Okay.
Yes, prepare yourself,
Okay.
Michael.
Okay.
Okay, prepare. Everyone, prepare. Microphones all open.
Yes.
Yeah. Great. So, sorry, just had a slight technical issue there. And we're going to return to our first speaker, Hubert Grealish, who is now back with us, and we can hear him, which is a miracle of modern technology. Hubert, great to have you with us, and looking forward very much to hearing your talk this afternoon. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Michael, and thank you very much for the kind and welcoming words. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone in the global room. It's really encouraging to hear so many people from so many countries getting involved in these global topics we call marketing. I am going to talk today about topics in the current day of brand and leadership. In my talk, I've really worked hard to bring all of these topics as up to the minute as possible. Some of these words have been around for decades, and we are a little bit tired of some of those words, but they must always be given a fresh angle, like a good
knife. We have
knife.
some problems with...
Can you hear me? Is there a problem?
No, continue, please. Please continue.
Can you hear me?
Okay, thank you.
Continue talking.
So proceeding on, so moving into the agenda. Is there a problem?
I can hear you now on...
Tem algum problema? Você pode me
Okay. Okay, in this hour, assuming everyone can hear me okay, I can hear the studio. We're going to look at introductions and perspectives that work for me as a marketeer. We will talk about my credentials or my background, but for sure, I don't believe in having an arrogant lens on the marketing world. This agenda here is intended to bring us up to speed as to the themes of the day, and by no means is it exhaustive. It would be ridiculous to try and create a huge list of all the important themes. What I would like everybody to get from my talk today is a sense. Hello, can you hear me? Yeah. So assuming you can hear me, I will.
I can hear you. I can hear you. Continue, please.
Yeah, continue. Okay, so my name being Hubert Grealish, and I'm a change agent with communications and marketing background. What I intend to convey by that is I'm always hunting for value opportunities, but I am always looking and digging for insights, marketing insights, which we can use to create business, create revenue, and in my words, build business, make money, find fun. And actually, I borrowed that from PR Lord Quintin Bell many years ago, but it stayed with me. My journey in creating value through marketing has brought me through the corridors of global A brands. It's helped me on my way to add value to Europe's largest car sharing platform, and also to start my own platforms and businesses too. The rest is sort of historical, but just to give you comfort in knowing that I have a broad and deep experience, and I'm very much looking forward, not back. The future does not look in the rear view of the car, it's looking forward. So any of my accomplishments, and of course I have my failures, are intended to help me learn my craft, learn my stories to go forward. So the rest we can find out on the internet, but I'm very, very interested in culture, and I'm very, very interested in unlocking value. And of course, I'm very, very interested in technology. Now, as a little giveaway, as a little gift for everyone today also, I'd like to offer everyone a copy of the book which I co-authored, The Little Black Book of PR. And I genuinely hope you will enjoy that, because as I tried to embellish in the book, we looked at topics relating to media, messaging, but most of all, they looked at culture and society. So I've shared this with people who are not PR professionals or even marketing professionals. And my goal has always been to try and unlock imagination and try and work with innovation to create so-called marketing strategies. So please accept that kindly as a small token for my appreciation today. Okay, dokie. Now, marketing is about finding fun. It must be. It must be about making the money and the data. It must be about building the business. But for sure, we live in such an exciting time. It's always about finding fun. In my journey to find fun, we've all worked hard. We worked our best, but it has taken me into the four corners of the world and places like Iran's first international marketing conference. I've done lots of pro bono work for many organizations, as well as global corporates trying to do pro bono work. I try to help get involved in the meaning and the purpose. So you can find some of my writings, my articles online, but I'm interested in topics like neuromarketing, events, technology, and of course, bringing the message to more and more people in more and more countries, which is part of the joy I get from talking with you today. So thank you for your time, and let's get busy. Part of my journey has also taken me into all sorts of fun. Just a small introduction to warm things up. I led, I'm perhaps very proud of this one, at Philips Consumer Electronics and Philips Lifestyle. I led the only project in 100 years of history with Philips, which was in the board meeting every month, partly because of the nature.
in this example here, my challenge was create a product for couples to share and enjoy, which was not in any way offensive, but also was attached to the delicate Philips brand. And of course, the reason I led that was to try and make sure we had a very powerful value proposition.
My earpiece here, I hear both English and Spanish. So the guys know about that. They're separating these layers, and I believe new links will be coming out so that you can be on the right channel with the language of your preference. So hopefully we'll be there in a minute. Bear with us. Technology is always an adventure. It gives us great new possibilities to do things and connect with people, but sometimes on the way it goes horribly wrong, and as we've just experienced. So we're just sorting it out now, and we'll be back with a perfect translation broadcast in just a minute.
To Zoom, do you hear me? Do you hear me? 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2
Yes,
3.
I hear you. Yes, Mary had it. Yes.
Yes, we have a technical problem
Okay.
on broadcast. Will because of our interpreters. Please try to take please control again.
Okay.
Please try to. Yes, you have a control. We'll start again in several minutes.
So does this mean that the time will overrun, or
Yes,
do I have to still
yes.
think?
Again, no. Again and again, we will return. You have an 1 hour for your speech, then Q&A.
Okay.
Sorry about it.
It's okay. No problem. No problem. I am flexible.
I'm mute my microphone. I must fix my my problem. Wait several minutes. Hello, 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 hello. Prepare yourself. We'll start in several minutes. We'll start. Do you hear me? Hey, hey, hey. Do you hear me? Oh. Сейчас он... так, мастер... Do you hear me? No, 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 no. Hubert. Hey. Hey, do you hear me? Hubert. Hello. Hello. Hubert. 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 Bert. Hubert. Hubert. Мы не можем выйти, пока Хьюберт у нас не на связи. Hubert. 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 Do you hear me? Hubert. Hubert. Hello. 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 Hubert. 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 Хьюберт, 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 да, Хьюберт, я вижу его макушку, но я не понимаю, он меня слышит, я вижу, что Zoom уходит, но он игнорирует, он засел там и сидит. Я пытаюсь ему что-то... Хьюберт, do you hear me? Хьюберт, do you hear me? Хьюберт, он слышит, я вижу, что у меня микрофон колышется. Хьюберт, Хьюберт, он пьет Red Bull. Хьюберт. Red Bull. Hubert. Hubert, do you hear me? Hubert. Hubert. Hubert, do you hear me? Do you hear me, Hubert? Hubert, do you hear me? Hubert. Hubert. Hello. Hello, Hubert. 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 Do you hear me? Hubert. 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 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Hubert. 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 Do you hear me? Do you hear me, Hubert? No, I don't hear you, please. You physically mute your microphone or turn off your microphone. Do you hear me? Show me a big finger if you hear me. Show me a big finger if you hear me. Please, Hubert. Hubert. Hubert, do you hear me? Hubert. Show me a big finger if you hear me. Hubert, show me, please. Please show me a big finger if you hear me. Hubert, do you hear me? Hubert, 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 do you hear me? Hubert, Hubert, do you hear me? Hubert, Hubert, do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Yes, yes, yes.
Oh.
I hear you. Yes.
Yes, it's good news.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right.
Prepare yourself. We'll start in several minutes.
Okay. And then I will take 55 minutes as originally planned.
Yes. By the original plans, we're just waiting an organization.
Okay, Joe.
We're just waiting for organization. What was the problem? You turn off your headset.
No problem here. No, I don't know. I don't think any problem, but I'm here now anyway.
Yes, you hear me. You hear
Yeah?
me now, but
And you hear me.
a few minutes ago, you don't hear me.
Maybe I
In
took it off. No, I had the headphone on. I don't know. I probably maybe accidentally mute it for a moment. It's fine.
Okay. 5 minutes. 5 minutes for our start.
Okay.
Prepare yourself. We're ready to start.
Okay.
We'll start from our study.
Max, if you can hear me, I will leave the WhatsApp open if you need to send me messages or anything. You can.
Ja, niet sluisje was. Back again. Hello, everyone. And I hope this time everything's been sorted out. The Spanish, the English, and the Portuguese have all been separated into different channels. If there is a problem, I'm going to be looking very closely at your chats. And if I have Spanish over the top of me, then do let me know. I didn't have any idea that actually when I was speaking English, you were hearing multiple languages at the same time. I believe there are new links in your email, so go and check them out. If things are swapped, hopefully everything's been sorted out now. So, working now. Thank you very much. I see thanks. This is looking very positive. You know how it is with IT. You get ambitious, you try and put in some extra languages to include more people, and then the whole thing collapses. I'm getting working now. Yep, all good. Much better volume. This looks positive. I was told that the first part of my presentation, everything I've said so far has been incomprehensible. So I'll just go through the highlights of what I said at the start. I think you all know already that I'm Mike Gibson and that I'm your host. And I extended a big welcome to all of you from every corner of the globe. You really are a fantastic group of people, and bless you all for being so patient with this technical problem. We all grow bigger through the mistakes that we make. I did notice in the chat that one person said, oh, please repeat the bit about the Zoom chats. So I will say that we do have group assignments. Make sure that you don't miss those. The information for them you can find in the Telegram chat and in emails. For example, our last modules, you remember, was called Future of Content Marketing, was then followed by group assignments. And all of you talented students had 2 weeks to prepare your presentations on different topics. And last Saturday, we had a splendid Zoom meeting where 8 teams presented and all the other students were invited to attend. It was a glorious occasion, lots of impressive material, lots of energy, and lots of insights. Actually, it was truly fascinating, actually. I really enjoyed listening to all your work and just bathing in your energy and enthusiasm. It was a great afternoon. So you can also all be part of that. Anyone who hasn't done that before, just make sure that you follow up in the Telegram chat, getting information from there, and in your emails. The link to the Telegram is in a pinned post at the top of this YouTube chat. If you don't find it there, then get back to us, and our next MBA host, who is a separate voice on the chat, hopefully will come in and clarify. So I'll just go to what the timing is for this afternoon. So at 12 o'clock, well, obviously a bit later than that, starting shortly after I finish, that'll be more like 12:45 GMT. We will be back to Hubert Grealish, who will be talking to us on brand leadership and new storytelling themes. And then after that, I imagine about half an hour later, so probably more like 1400 GMT, we'll have Eric Aldrin, and his topic will be brand positioning across emerging platforms. And then again, with a slight delay at 15:30 GMT, we'll have Philip Kotler. He will speak to us shortly on winning at innovation, and then he'll open the floor to a question and answer session. The questions about the assignments, you need to go onto the Telegram chat and you can find everything there. The link has just appeared in the chat. And now to our first speaker, Hubert Grealish. He's speaking to us on brand leadership and new storytelling themes. Pardon me. Hubert is a reputation and brand sales driver with a talent for strategic business communication. He has a diverse range of passions spanning creativity, music, technology, AI, and entrepreneurship. Hubert integrates sustainability values and modern leadership principles into his incisive strategies. As a trusted advisor, consultant, and academic professor, Hubert brings extensive experience as a founder and cultivates a unique network of current and future leaders. Working with leading brands such as Google, Facebook, and LinkedIn, he generates substantial revenue through ahead of the curve digital business strategies. He's also a co-author of the highly regarded book, Little Black Book of PR. So, Hubert, take 2. Over to you again, sir.
Thank you very much, Michael. Well done, take two. And well done to everyone else who is being patient and tolerant. Thank you for your time. I'm going to repeat myself with the message that it is a great humbling experience to connect with everybody from all of the countries around the world today. Marketing, as we know, is very close to entrepreneurship, and it transcends geographical boundaries, and it allows us to connect and create and add value and ideate in so many ways which were never possible before. So it's my distinct pleasure and a huge honor to be here today with Next MBA, and of course with each and every one of you. Thank you so much for taking the time to hear me out. I'll try and make it as interesting and versatile as I can. I've put a lot of effort in to making these topics as lifelike as possible and bringing them up to the minute as far as humanly possible. So themes in brand leadership, disruptive marketing, new trends. Welcome everyone today. Oh, okay. A little bit keen on the mouse, 1 minute. So if I go back up. Okay, in this hour, I will try and cover quite a lot of ground. I really want you, though, not to necessarily have to worry about capturing all of the points. I will be more proud and more interested in you leaving here with less information than when you came. What I mean by that is I'm going to touch on some hot buttons, some hot topics. I'm going to share some anecdotes from my own history and also my perspectives, because there's plenty of information around, and I want everybody to feel that they're getting perspectives to help you as professionals and students of this discipline we call marketing, to help you find your perspectives too. I'm very interested to hear your viewpoints, your ideas, because as you will hear me talk, I believe the future does not lie in the mainstream. The future lies on the fringe. So fringe can be underground culture, fringe can be any country, fringe can be any topic. When it comes to marketing, as long as it's legal, everything is a possibility. So in this hour, I want to touch on things like practical principles that I have used, through to macroeconomic figures, microeconomic, microcultural things. I'm going to show you a little bit of case examples of what I have done myself in my professional journey so far. And I'm going to talk about three main themes. All of these hot topics fall into what I would describe as themes of people, clearly, spaces, we will discuss, and culture. And by that, I will break it down even further than that. I will be looking at some new storytelling themes relating to really relevant current news directly from my experience, and it's currently in the news today, not always for the best reasons. And as a gift, I will give you all something to take away as well. I really hope my outcome, my success to myself will be, and my commitment to this talk is that everyone can leave here a little bit more conscious in their marketing. I want us all to be more conscious marketeers. We're not necessarily just practitioners. If we're going to be strategic, and if we're going to be operational, and if we're going to do the hustle, and if we're going to do the executions, then we have a huge opportunity, perhaps even a responsibility, to be more conscious as marketeers. That will solve a lot of our problems, and it will solve a lot of the world's problems too. Now, in the chat, we have we can already start to ask questions. Put your notes in there, something you would like to elaborate. I'm very, very interested in making a good Q&A session later. But before that, I'm going to try and load you up with some of the goodies that I've prepared today. And yeah, so please make your notes, be as vocal as you like. And we are all friends, we're all students of marketing here today. So let's get busy. My name is Hubert. I'm over 20 years a change agent in communication and in creating value. What does that mean? It means that I have come from a background of a graduate in communication, very interested in current affairs, very interested in politics, very interested in music, art, culture. I'm very interested in people and also interested in technology. I've also studied architectural technology, so I have two backgrounds. So I'm very interested in not only the technology we use, but also the stories that we use to connect people and to share with those tools. So I found myself on a journey through communication agencies of London, through the corridors of global A brands in Amsterdam and New York. And I have found myself, and London, I have found myself in areas where I am quite comfortable in getting my hands dirty with the kind of technicalities of a product or a business, but also wearing the other hat of trying to find a marketplace for those products or technologies. Those areas really suit me. I feel very comfortable because I feel if we can attach them with our values, we can create meaningful, conscious strategies. Some of the companies I have worked with over the years are listed here: Diageo, Philips. I was on the leadership teams of all of these companies. And indeed, I have founded my own companies too. And Student Passengers, I found I was interested in mobility in the early car sharing days. More recently than in recent years, I was CMO of Europe's largest car sharing platform. So I'm very interested in those big society topics. Having said that, I'm interested in people. So I'll joke around when people cannot remember their mission statement. I'll say, don't worry, borrow mine, build business, make money, find fun. Now, money I would describe as meaningful data points. It doesn't have to be vulgar. It's intended as something meaningful, but build business, make money, find fun. These are the three filters I like to play by, and it certainly helps me keep going in the right directions, and it keeps life very spicy. Please sign up for my newsletter. I only very rarely update the newsletter with some interesting shares, but also connect on all the socials. And as a small thank you and a token for your time today, and of course to the next MBA Academy and the colleagues there, I would like to offer you a copy of the Little Black Book of PR. And in that, I talk about the new rules of social entrepreneurship. And what I'm very proud to share here is the feedback we have got from the book over the years is that you do not have to be a PR person or a marketing person to enjoy the book. A lot of it, certainly with my perspective, has been the strategies have been woven into the anecdotes and the historical part. So it's not a flight manual, it's a life book. So please take that with my regards. Let me know your questions there also. And I would like to say that's my thank you. Marketing is about finding fun. Once we find the fun and we find the purpose, then we can work back from there. Then we are adding value. All of the emotions we connect with as humans are by default evolutionary tools. All of the insights that we have allow us to create and solve bigger problems. So I'm very proud that my work has taken me through the four corners of the world. I was speaking at Iran's first international marketing conference. I've been all over. I'm kind of quite happy to go to various countries where I found there was an opportunity to lead or an opportunity to solve problems, and all the time while working, in the so-called bigger cities of marketing, the New Yorks, Londons, etc., and Amsterdam. I'm very happy I transcend all of that, and I'm happy that now with marketing tools we can operate in many countries without leaving the country. So marketing should be always fun, because always a short distance between the strangers. And indeed, here's one example from my history. When I was at Philips, I'm very proud that in its 100 years of history, I personally led the only project that was in and out of the boardroom every month. And the reason I was kindly honored with this was Philips is a family brand. So what was it doing getting involved in a product for couples? And of course, it's not a disrespectful, it's a family product, but I was involved in managing that whole process, and it was really nice. And I hope you agree, this very sensual advertising was enough to keep everybody happy, but it was also in the public billboards of the London Underground Tube. And so we've won some awards with that, but I'm personally very happy when we solved a problem in marketing with visual, and we also created some really nice products and a very, shall we say, very satisfying product for couples, which on the first version outperformed all the rest. So the fun can find its place in many unexpected corners. Now we're going to get into the current time. As you'll see, what I'm trying to do here is take some of the historical stuff from my first-hand experience, but also bring it up to the minute. We're in a certain amount of hard times. We know that. So Joe Rogan on his Joe Rogan podcast is making a statement which is doing certain rounds of the internet. And I find it really, really relevant. He is saying hard times make strong men, men being people or women, of course. But hard times make strong men make easy times make weak men. And his point, I believe, is he's trying to show that we need to, there is a cycle to many parts of society. And his view is that, and it's something that, you know, we can all subscribe to a part, that the society we're in right now is going through a certain arc. And we have to decide how we as marketeers are going to affect or help play our role as responsible, conscious citizens with a mouth and a mouse piece to help play our role. Other people, the well-known entrepreneur hero, Gary Vaynerchuk, the very first time I ever kind of came across Gary in person was, I think it was 2012 at the Next Web, or maybe 2016 in Amsterdam. And I never knew who he was. And he just came out onto the stage, really vulgar. He said, data, we don't need any more effing data. We can't even manage that data that we have. And two things happened in that moment. Everybody laughed and everyone kind of agreed. So I've kind of remembered that over the years. And so when we go too far into the technical data conversation, we have to remember to, what I would say, to remember to measure our art, sure, with data, but also to follow our heart. In other words, we have to be human. We still have to create things. If we rely 100% on data points, then we end up going into a loop where our pool of influence will eventually dry up. In other words, the great challenge in marketing is how to use data, 1 foot in, and to use art, 1 foot out, art being culture. Very interesting. So we don't need more data. We need more balance and strategy and conscious use of the data that we do have with that intuitive nature that I hope we develop as marketeers. Other voices on the internet. Note how there's more of an independent sort of lens on some of these people here. We've got Jordan Peterson, a global spokesperson, if you like, for the learned academic psychologist area. And he has become a commentator on our global culture. I find this really interesting. So the natural evolution of a vertical expert has evolved nowadays with the media into a stratosphere of global influence where they're not politicians, even Joe Rogan, they're not politicians and they're somewhat coming from their background, but their influence is very powerful. Elon Musk, others, many others, the long list goes on. Indeed, Professor Scott Galloway has identified an opportunity here, and he is now talking about issues affecting particularly young people and moreover young men. And I think this is really interesting too. But to show that there's a balance in even my masculine view, we come to the very interesting voices from the female side of society, talking ironically about issues affecting the females and the youth females. So we have ladies like Jedediah Bila, who I believe was fired from a mainstream news network of Fox. So there's some really big shakedowns happening in marketing. There's some really big cultural shifts. The paradigm, I believe, is shifting. We can talk about that in the Q&A, where it is going. But I believe that the content is merging with the news. And then, of course, we have political situations where people, words like fake news, language is being kind of taken over by marketing, is now being taken over by politics, and everything is being kind of wrapped up into a big global conversation. Now, the reason I bring it back to the marketing conversation is we have to be mindful of the macro influence on marketing and communication and trust and value. Because at a certain stage, the advertising experts in the room will confirm this, that your subconscious mind does not always know how to be critical. So your subconscious mind does not always know the difference between an entertainer, an expert, and a journalist, or even a friend with some strong or convincing, maybe entertaining ideas. So why do I say this? What am I going to solve with this? I think it's a fascinating moment in our time, perhaps a challenging moment as marketeers, but also as citizens. So when I'm saying marketeers now, we can also look at it as a citizens with a voice. We're under a certain amount of influence from what's been described as woke ideology. I have seen examples as recently as today, where in Australia, an advertisement is being sort of, I guess, criticized for its anti-woke political stance. So there's a lot of, again, it's a lot of the big ball of content, news, and marketing all being mixed up together with politics and agendas. And then AI has come into the room. We have a conversation around ChatGPT. We have a conversation around regulation. We still have not really solved the issue of regulating social media. Yet we are talking already now about how do we regulate AI and machine learning. So it's a really big moment. It's a big moment in marketing as a lot of the tasks become semi or fully automated. But we have not been automated yet. We're still human beings. So we have a choice. We have a will, and we have a intelligent, conscious mind where we can creatively and perhaps regulatory decide how to work with those things. So I have found myself using some of the old phrases, and I'm saying to you today, in statistics, we used to say lies, damn lies, and statistics. Now I'm joking, saying we have lies, damn lies, and AIs. Because I believe that the AI conversation has not been defined fully. And of course, it's complicated, so I can't define it today either. But I do believe that we do need to be really careful and very critical about it. What seems like an easy option today could actually backfire tomorrow if we make some marketing mistakes. So I would say with the AI conversation, dear friends, dear marketeers, let us approach all that with caution. Do not let go of your ability to think creatively and strategically as you would have always done with new or old tools. Yes, of course, we can embrace the AI revolution, but who is to know? I'm certainly no more qualified than anyone else, but I could certainly say I have seen tools come and go. I have seen growth marketing come and go sometimes. And now we're in the area of AI. So perhaps the same thing will happen if we're careful and conscious about how we use it. So the role of independent media in marketing, it's sometimes described as alt, as in alternative media. And I've worked in mainstream media. I've worked with the BBC. I've worked with many mainstream organizations on both sides of the corridor. And I believe in true democracy, in a democratic world, obviously, we will have an independent media. Why? Because people need a place to have their voice. Why do I say these things in this context of a marketing thing? Well, I like to reference Banksy, and you will see some of his remarks in the book that I share with you, that, well, as companies, consumers and customers do not owe us anything. They do not owe us their business. Our job is to attract them and retain them and add service to them. And sometimes the independent media can help us find real feedback, not necessarily filling out a feedback form. What people say on the street, what people say online about your company is more close to what they feel. And sometimes going into the problems helps you see your path forward. Find your unhappy customer, find out how to increase their happiness. That is usually a way forward. Now, mainstream media has been going through its own cycle, if you like. As things get bigger, they become a bit more hard to manage, perhaps. And so it's not really being fast enough to keep up with some of what the independent media has got to say. So it's a very interesting time. I don't have a view. I'm very pro mainstream. I'm very pro independent. I'm very pro truth and media. And so I find it really interesting moment. Now, back to the current time. Also, in the local cities, we have in Paris, we have the famous now 15-minute city. Historically, entrepreneurs from over the centuries, from bakers to shoemakers, were all local people who did a local service. And I think that we're starting to return to that. So we need independent media to help those smaller one-person businesses thrive, not just in a local way, but also in perhaps an international way. And then testimonial will always be the grapevine. What people say, what messages we pass around are the messages that tell the other customer to buy or avoid a service. It's the smoke signals we have evolved to do. So the closer we stay to those conversations, the better. So we talk about community. Every single one of us here, I'm quite sure, has the word community very close to their identity. But are we talking enough about where do we belong? Society is polarizing us into groups. Algorithms are encouraging us into what are being described as communities. Words are being softened up so they can be managed, but ultimately it's identities. So where do we belong? We know that coming after the impact of the post-COVID world, we're all learning. There's a certain amount of cleanup operation happening. Communities have been affected, individuals have been affected, but there's been a massive, undisclosed yet unclear impact on a lot of people's well-being and mental health. The social media has, played a role in this. Community management is still relevant. It's not to say it's a bad thing, but where is there a lack of belonging? Do we feel that we are still connected? And then sadly, no is the answer. There's a huge amount now, and perhaps a tidal wave of really bad statistics coming forward, where since I think recently 1 in 7 men in the United States says they do not have a single friend, compared to 1 in 19 10 years ago. So this is a really very serious issue for society. Now, again, keeping it related to marketing, we need to think about our conscious approach to how we want to engage communities, how we want to add value to tribes, to how we want to even perhaps play a role in reconnecting tribes. These are big questions, but the future of a successful company will depend on its short-term ability to add value to the here and now with your so-called product, but also the long-term value of why is it in society. Put it another way, corporations have a huge responsibility in helping perhaps retain the talent of the small independent player. These are questions. In the UK, equally bad. It's not just in one country, it's a worldwide situation. 50% of male deaths under 50 are due to suicide. This is really sad. There's a lot of female deaths as well. But there's a crisis. There's a crisis happening in identities of the Western world and right throughout the planet. So I'm bringing it back home here, dear friends, that the marketing responsibility that we share is, of course, to add value with our respective marketing strategies. But let's not forget, we are citizens as well of the world, and we do carry a responsibility to try and help make the world a better place. We have a responsibility, and if we have a future, the future depends on that responsibility, not just at a corporate level. So I'm very happy we see companies doing that, but let's be very upfront. We need to always do more and more together. Okay, stepping forward, stepping back. A lot of you will be very familiar with Schumpeter and Schumpeter's waves of innovation, where, as you can imagine, over the centuries, we had long arcs of the industrial, the textiles, the iron factories, and then into the steam age. And then loops of innovation become faster and shorter. And over time, then now we're in the digital area. Some people talk about the singularity topics and things become very condensed. Now we're very close to an era when you can have 0-hour innovation. I can decide something, I want to do something, I want to do it in which geographic, and I can very quickly make it happen. So this is really interesting. So couple this Schumpeter curve with topics like the AI conversation, and things are happening at lightning breakneck speed. By the time we have finished these talks today, the world will be already a different place. There's so much happening out there, it would be impossible to capture it, but I'm trying to capture the urgency, but also remind us of the values that we carry in attaching to the increasingly quick Schumpeter curves of innovation, accelerated by AI. Something to look at. Now, I want to give you some reassurance, some practical principles that work. You may be asking, what can I do today? How can we, this sounds very good. How can I make it useful? What can I do? Here's what I tend to do. These are the fingers. Culture as a connector. Culture, talking points, grapevine, all the cultural areas are a way to connect with our customers. We forget that all too often in marketing. Too often marketing is about push messages out, push campaigns out, push, instead of actually getting involved in the culture that is already there. A common tactic of mine is, instead of deciding messages, I will listen to the messages that are happening in the market right now. I will try and find out what are the 3 positive things or the 3 worst things that are very popular, that are keeping people talking, air traffic, transport, who knows, and then I will try and engage in those topics. Culture as a generator, digital as an enabler. Yes, digital is important. Yes, automation is important. And being digital first is clear, it's important, but these are tools. We're still trying to affect human change. We're not just trying to hack the message, we're trying to affect long-lasting human change. So it's about the customer experience. You don't remember which version or which software you may have noticed for your latest experience on a website, but you'll remember the experience. So let's think of digital as an enabler for a digital customer experience. Strategic reviews and strategy. A lot of the time when I'm talking with partners or clients, they will be trying to prescribe a strategy, where 80% of the time, if you clean up the data you already have and clean up the strategies you already have, that can be a very successful strategy. In other words, like with Gary Vee, we don't always need new strategies. We just need to find a more impactful way to execute on the strategies that we have. And that comes from cleaning up the data, finding out why checkout carts are not being fulfilled, increasing the experience. That's usually 80% of a so-called fresh strategy. Reputation as a core asset. We talk about reputation as an add-on, as a PR exercise. No, everything you do is about experience and reputation. It's delivered by technology, but if you got to start always with reputation. It's not a sort of a woolly word, it's a measurable word. You can decide in 10 different ways how to measure it. But please measure it and couple that with your problems and use the pain points of your reputation as your strategy. It's not rocket science. It's about looking in the mirror and holding up the mirror to find out the best way to move forward. Save a lot of creative. You can be creative about that, but save flashy ideas, because more often, if you don't do this first exercise, you will be alienating and creating a bigger problem than you had before. You won't fix your reputation. Do good work, create quality products before you start to sell it. We don't like snake oil salespeople unless the snake oil does something good. Make sure you're challenging your product teams and your delivery teams to do great work, and they will then be proud to deliver the great message. It's very invisible. Marketing needs to be almost invisible. The delivery of the experience and the quality of the product is the experience. So marketing should be just there to kind of steer the course. It's not like we have a rotten apple and we sell a picture of a fresh piece of fruit and expect nobody to bite back, so to speak. And in terms of investing media or in investing in campaigns, invest in people. Give a little bit more than you take. That's what people remember. Give people the little free gift. Oh, I give you a book. And I do that genuinely. It was not sort of premeditated, but perhaps it's built into my thinking that it's really nice to bring a gift. So give more than you take. Invest in those relationships. Be of service. And most importantly, listen to the fringe voices. Listen to the quieter voices. Seek them. Go underground. Listen to the edges of the society, because that is where the future mainstream is. Perhaps go to the alternative media. Please be critical of everybody, everything you hear, but feed your own mind. In the words of John Lydon, the Sex Pistols and Public Image Limited, the punk kind of icon, he said you have to educate yourself. And you can read about that too in the book. I'll plug the book again, the Little Black Book. But for sure, he's right. You have to be critical about all the information. Now, up to date with, you'll see, this is a live issue actually at the moment. We have, when I worked at Diageo brands, I was head of the vodkas, rum and gin brand communication strategies. So my job was to recruit people with Smirnoff, where I was the global head of brand communication, figure out how to make that as the biggest vodka in the world, how to get bartenders, Ketel One vodka, to use the Ketel One, and then we created a space for a category, so we could own a whole vodka category. In other words, we owned 1, 2, 3 big different complementary vodkas in a vodka category. But to do that, we had no ultra premium vodka. So we launched Ciroc vodka. It's made from grapes in France. And in America, we launched the champagne of vodkas, excuse me, with P. Diddy. Now, recently, that seems to have, I have not worked there for many years now, but I was involved at the start. Recently, that shows that Diageo has cancelled the agreement with Diddy. And I'm getting asked a lot about these things. So I'm just going to tell you guys, as the first people to get it from me. If you let go of managing relationships, people eventually will get unhappy. And I think that a corporation and a talent, in any context, everybody needs attention. And it's not my role to say what worked or did not work, but I feel that if you don't pay attention to the relationships you have, people go back to being human beings. And I think this is an example here. It's a shame it's going like this, but it shows the importance of managing your relationships, creating brand ecosystems with your corporate entities, and avoiding cultures of ego systems. Ego can come into the room when we forget to show people attention. So if you're dealing with celebrities or talent or each other or management, always make sure you're listening and paying attention, because on a local level, it can hurt. And on a macro level, it can really get ugly. And that's the way it is. So that story is kind of looks like it's already coming to an end. But, you know, I've been getting questions about it as someone who was involved earlier. And I think that it's a classic case of, well, one entity not giving enough attention to the other, but that's a personal remark. So we've all come across data, but as Gary said, we don't know what to do with the data we have. If we keep our values and our egos intact, carefully managed as the guides, then we can be creative. We can decide how to use data to attract new minds and new markets and to move forward in those ways. I think that the potential for AI is going to be significant. And as I've said here, potential AI use cases, who knows what a computer does or does not know these days. In other words, AI seems to suggest that data can start to think for itself. Well, my view is that so far, we've lies, damn lies, and AIs. We just don't know yet. So we need to approach all of that with caution. And so, if you like, all the earlier thinking and heavy research on data analysis is being rapidly exceeded by AI. And so let's see what happens next. So who will win and what will they win? I believe with people. Let's reverse HR, human resources, into resourced by humans. This was part of a talk, I'm borrowing it from someone I saw recently, and he talked about this. And I really believe passionately in this topic, because I know that if we treat people as people and professionals with great tools and skills, we can open up phenomenal minds, phenomenal results, phenomenal outcomes. So in the 20th century, we had human resources, and I was never really comfortable, and it never really excited me. And I don't think it excited anybody. But now if we're resourced by humans, we can actually bring the AI even into that conversation. We can have humans at the driving seat. So it's a lovely way of looking at a business, which is, of course, in information society, resourced by humans. Spaces, no doubt about it. A lot of us are working from home. We have people talking about going to offices, called back to offices, wanting to go back to offices, hybrid. We're seeing old banks, old offices turned into co-working and hybrid hubs. And there's cost efficiencies here and there, but also there's cultural implications. Are we having enough time for brainstorms, getting together, celebrations? And that's where the culture comes in, this sense of belonging, feelings of connectivity, connected over loyalty. What is brand loyalty these days? Brands have a role to play as cultural role models. We all have a voice. There's always people watching. There's always a third eye. There's always a culture that we can affect change with. There's always a chance to lead, and there's always a value system that we can massage and work with. So who will win? Those who are strategically minded, yet open-minded corporate mindsets will and are winning. If we are closed, we're just going to mine the data we have until it's gone. But if we're open, we're going to mine the data we have until we achieve our next outcome. We have to be open-minded. We have to be diversified. And that means we not only have to hire graduates, but I'm very proud in the hires I have made. I will deliberately, actively seek people from as broad a range, not just the ethnicity or background or gender. I'm looking for people who are really technical, highly introverted, with extroverted, and the magic happens when you just put people together. It really does. So networked brands are networked individuals. It's about creating ecosystems and letting go of the ego. And climate activists are a part of that too. You know, some of the taxi drivers can be really interesting climate activists, believe it or not. Just talking to them, what would they do, can be what we would do. They listen to the radio all day. And really importantly, brands are more accountable than ever. I'm very happy with that, because it makes sure that brands do a better job. They serve us better. Companies can no longer greenwash as much. They have to play by circular. In my view, circular economy is very important, but also we have to hold those brands to account. And it's really encouraging because it makes the world a better place. Testimonials work, humble brags work, sure. Now, conscious marketeers, dear friends, I'm hoping that we're seeing a bigger picture here. By stepping back far enough from the situation in marketing, we can see that we have a role to play, a role to lead with as conscious marketeers. We have to think and act and do for the teams and the organizations that we represent. And that will help, that will be our compass for how we will lead the way. Not only for our companies and doing the administrative roles, but also for our customers. We need to be able to say, we have the customer experience at the heart of the matter. In 50 years, nobody will remember AI conversations, believe it or not in the way we're talking now. Nobody will remember things like photography. Nobody will remember things like printers. Nobody will remember most of the things that we use all the time and talk about all the time. But what they will remember is the human experience. They will remember the outcomes of those experiences, which guided people to make decisions, which led to further breakthroughs in the evolution of our species. And I'm relying on you, and my ask of you is that we act as consciously as we can, so then we can be as open-minded as we can, and also perhaps less anxious, as we have been induced by perhaps social media pandemic influences, which have moved us out of our comfort zones. If we move back into a state of kind of consciousness where we can relax and be comfortable with change, then we might find we're able to see solutions. We can see the third eye. We don't get so, we start to solve bigger problems in our health and wellness, but also we start to see bigger opportunities in our climate and in our marketing and in our causes. So here I am, I'm talking about storytelling culture. Stories will bring all those things to life. Stories are the values put into words and videos and actions, but they're also heavily married to the customer experience. The customer will resonate with the truth. The customer will resonate with the value points that we go out of our way to tell the truth. And I like the phrase loud, proud, and clear. What I mean by that is, instead of getting worried about messaging workshops, instead of caring about the, messaging, if we think about the values, then whatever we say reflects the messaging, and whatever channel we decide to use reflects the messaging. The best way to say something is just to say it. So tell it like it is, not as like you'd want it to be, because people can smell and they're suspicious because they have evolved over the millennia. So in short, content and storytelling will be the currency. But how will we know we can trust it? Regulation of social media and AI is still a big topic. Anything in those areas, approach with caution. In marketing and brand leadership, remember my mantra, the customer experience married with the enhanced values will be your retention. Use that as a filter for your conversations, not only with your value propositions, but if you look at your customer experience, where are we failing then? That's your future. And then, of course, as conscious marketeers, we need to talk about well-being and we need to talk about belonging. And that relates, it seems at the moment, a large disproportion of those belonging issues are down to men. We're a species, we need everybody. We need a climate, and we need to think for each other, for men, women, children. Everyone has a place in our world, in a truly diversified world. So we need to think about belonging and how we can do more to help in a conscious way, connect more, and perhaps even with a conscious AI. But we need to find ways to belong. So I've made my point. Educate yourself. John Lennon said, seek the truth for yourself. Validate the facts yourself. Trade in truths. Customers love the truth. They want the good, the bad, and the ugly. Websites which show the bad points perform really well in trustability. Why? Because people believe that you're not perfect. They will give you credit for it. Play is really important. Play with your teams, but collaborate with others in your industries. I mean, if we're talking about computers, we can partner with other companies. We can solve the problems together. by leading those conversations together, we can solve macro problems and create a big payoff for everybody. So really do play and collaborate, and then organize and communicate. So have an open mind and then have a closed mind. And with a conscious lens, we can do a lot more together. So on that note, I'm going to show you my purple face, and thank you very much. I'm going to open now for your Q&A and the DMs. And I really genuinely appreciate your full attention here. I hope that you enjoy the book, but let's have a good conversation for the next 20 minutes. Thank you.
Hewitt, great. Thank you very much for that. That was fascinating. And I believe we've got over all the technical problems. So thank you to everyone. Thank you to you, Hubert, for being so patient at the beginning. Thank you to all you students for sticking it out and being with us. And as a result, I do believe more people will have understood since we're also simultaneously in Spanish and Portuguese, which is fantastic. Hubert, thank you very much. That's a fantastic talk. Please do everyone ask questions in the chat. We're ready to, I'm ready to pronounce those to Hubert. Hubert, thank you for your offer for your book to everyone who's with us. Now, how do we go about that? Will you give us a link that we can share with the students? There was some questions actually about that in the chat. In fact, I can just see Manish has just asked the same question again. How do we get the book?
Yeah, well, you can contact me, but also I've provided it to Veronica on the team there. So you guys can tell me if you want me to provide a link, or it's not online to download, so I'll have to send it somewhere. So we'll work around that technical issue. I've provided it to Next MBA, but hit me up on Twitter perhaps, and I can send it to you that way, as you wish.
Okay. So you provided a link to Veronica, so we can share that link, can we, in emails to students or in our Telegram chat?
Yeah, exactly. I provided a file actually, so you can share it in the Telegram. Or if I get into the chat, I can do it. No problem. No problem. I'll circulate it.
Okay, that's great. So basically, we've got a solution there, and that's up and coming. Very interesting what you were saying, particularly about well-being. I just watched last night the new Netflix cartoon movie called Nimona, which actually was very entertaining and very high energy. It just come out, but it's a lot about well-being and belonging in there, because there's an outsider who doesn't feel part of society. In fact, and the film then finishes at the very, very end with a link that says, if you need help or you need to speak to anyone, then get in touch with these people at this link. So it's very interesting what you're saying about telling these stories and actually being inclusive to people that do feel that they lie outside of any group. And they feel very much alone. So that's a very, very on the money right at the moment now. That's
good
great
to hear. Yes.
So I'm just going to dive in now with questions from Noe Isibor. Hope I've said that right, Noe. Are there any specific ethical considerations that brands need to be mindful of when pursuing disruptive marketing strategies? Good question.
Yeah, that's a great question, because it reminds me of when I was heading up drinks brands, the biggest vodka in the world, and people would ask me that question on panels or in events, and my answer is actually, it's surprisingly easy. First of all, you've got the law. So the law tends to give you the rules of play. Everything else then is morality. So if you've got a moral code, then you should stick to it. So assuming you're not an evil person, then it should tell you the way forward. As regards ethics, if you're conscious enough and if you're playing by the law, you'll know exactly what's right and wrong. So, get your lawyer to approve your activities, but don't be. Oh, the other point is, as a safeguard, if you operate within the rules, the public law and the rules of morality, and you're very open and you promote what your activity will be, that will tell you if you're doing the right thing. So in other words, if you're not doing the right thing, you're going to find out very quickly. But people are very fast. They will find you if you try and hide. So don't try and hide. Always be very transparent with your plans. And sometimes we make mistakes, but at least if you're transparent, people will give you the credit because they see that you're not trying to hide. I think that is the best protection for ethical conversation, if that helps.
That's great. Thank you. And also, that's a golden rule also in PR, isn't it? You've written a great book on PR about never hiding. You always got to be there, visible, even when the crises happen. We've got an interesting question. In fact, all your questions are interesting. Do keep them coming. Kruti Sheth says, please could you elaborate on managing relationships and brand ecosystems, especially for a product brand where you might not be directly communicating with customers one-to-one.
Okay. So the last part of that, could you repeat if you're not?
Just saying. Yeah, so how do you manage relationships and brand ecosystems? And I think here the idea is, especially with a brand or a product where you don't necessarily have a direct communication on one-to-one with customers.
Yeah, very good. So like if you're with a SaaS or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
With a software service. Yeah, so that's a great question. Seek feedback every which way you can. Have your super users, create groups, get feedback, pay attention to your customer experience. And as regards managing ecosystems, do fewer things really well. I find that in terms of marketing, outbound stuff for sure, if you do one or two channels really, really well, that will fuel the conversations in other channels. Don't try and turn the lights on in every room. Just do your, choose your weapon of choice if you want, and do it really, really well, and be very clear, loud, proud, and clear, as I said. So going into my own presentation there, I'd say by being really clear and trying to induce two-way conversation in as many constructive ways as you can, that tells you how to manage your ecosystem. The airlines do it really well, where they they will try and almost sometimes take more and more of the marketing spend and put it into the customer experience and the service. And they're constantly gleaning to try and see how is our feedback, give us insights, because they want to make sure not only are they getting insights, but they're converting unhappy people back into happy evangelists. So create as much actual conversation as you can. So that way you get the feedback and you kind of reconvert detractors back into evangelists.
Great. That's a great answer. Actually, it's very good bringing out the airlines as an example, because actually the most successful airlines are the ones I think that get more manage to find a way of creating that experience.
Yeah, that's all they are.
For
that's
people.
all they are. They're just flying Boeing 737, but with their brand
exactly.
of service.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, it's the same thing. It's a tube with people sitting in it.
Same tube.
It can only be the experience. Yeah, that was a good question. Noe, we love all your questions, so don't be embarrassed. Do keep them coming. She has said, can you provide examples of brands that have successfully disrupted the marketing landscape by embracing new trends? You did talk at the beginning about being disruptive, so I like this. She's saying, can we have some particular examples that maybe appeal to you?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Great question. Keep them coming. I have found one really fun example was the $1 Million Shave Club. If you're familiar with that, if you're not, please go on YouTube, and with very little or negligible budget, those guys created a video which was actually, I'll tell you, there's two parts to their story. One was the subscription model. So let me put a pause on the subscription. I think that they disrupted the male shaving Gillette type audience, that market with the subscription model, by selling, instead of charging more and more for more and more blades, like 5 blades. The joke in the marketing of men's shaving is you actually putting most of your shave with the first blade. The rest are just for marketing, 3 blades versus 5. You don't actually necessarily need the 5. So that's a little bit the joke in the marketing community about things like Gillette and that. So anyway, those blades cost a lot of money, and they're always coming out with new versions and new shapes and models. It's for shaving. They don't need to do that. But why did they do that? So they can play with the marketing, you know? It's a different era. But the $1 Million Shave Club, those guys and girls probably, I don't know who's there, but I've always admired their work because they went and they created a subscription model for very, very cheap, single-use kind of blades, and you put in a basic subscription, a monthly subscription. And how they did that, so they disrupted the pricing model by going really cheap instead of more and more expensive with the subscription model. So subscription models are actually the holy grail here, and more people are just tired of paying for things. They're signing up for cheap subscriptions, which they kind of leave the set and let. So I'd encourage everybody to look for subscription models, because not only are you locking in your customer, you're creating a lot more runway for your business to do more meaningful marketing. So back to the marketing. $1 Million Shave Club, they did a video, went viral, and you know, lightning doesn't always strike twice. People copy the video, and was it Oscar Wilde who said imitation is the best form of flattery? So you have these companies trying to do a version of their walking around the factory, a little bit like a video blog kind of thing, but it's 10 years old already. So $1 Million Shave Club, have a look at that. They disrupted marketing, they disrupted shaving, and they disrupted the economics of the subscription model as a startup. And well done. Marketing Hall of Fame.
Great. We have a question from Amani. Amani, thank you for this question. So I just going to slightly can I rephrase it slightly? Amani, she says, you talked about the good relationships with team and with clients. And she says, please don't laugh. She says, how do we deal with people with low IQ? But maybe if we say, how do we deal with people perhaps that are a challenge to get on with, or we find it hard to find a mutual language of understanding, or who we need to repackage our message in such a way that it becomes clearer to people. I hope that's a satisfactory way of trying to communicate that question.
I think so. And I've heard both versions of the question. So we can say we've done our politically correct filter. So thank you for reading the original question, and well done, Michael, on paraphrasing. Well done. I like to borrow on comedy, and I love the phrase somebody said once, the audience is genius, right? So in other words, we can write our most IQ, intelligent or dumb or stupid joke, but guess what? The humor is sort of universal, and we never really know what people will laugh at. So the audience is genius. The audience collectively will tell you. So when you're dealing with people of, how did you put it, sort of intellectually challenged, right? Who am I to decide who is smart? Maybe I'm not smart, but I like to borrow on these mantras. And then a former colleague of mine, he used to say, the wise man, woman, okay? The wise person can play the fool, but the fool cannot play the wise person. So our job, as if we think we're smart, is to stay humble. We actually have to find ways to transcend our own intelligence and find things which lower the barrier of access to the idea. So if we have an idea which is we think is too intelligent, then we're actually being potentially a little bit sure of ourselves. And if we really want to recruit on a mass level, then we need to find a kind of easy access version of the message which plays to the populace. And if there's a bigger conversation which relates to being more intelligent or having more time, then we just have to have a place where people can find out more information. So we need, usually in marketing, we've got the famous 3 reasons to believe. You buy a product, it usually has a nice picture, a headline, benefit, and you might have 1 or 2 or 3 reasons to believe it's the product that you've always needed. It does what it says on the tin. So you need to have a simple version of the same message, which can transcend every conversation. And then you can have a more detailed features spec sheet or whatever it is for people who are really interested or not interested. You don't always have to hit people with the full Bible or full book on the first read, you know? So keep it simple.
That's a great answer. That's a very good question, actually, Amani. Thank you for asking that, because it is a challenge. And I think I love what you said. The audience is genius,
Yes.
and you basically said sometimes they're just being smart in another way that you haven't quite figured out. And in fact, during your talk, you said if we treat people as people, we could open up phenomenal resources, which is so true. Actually, sometimes you find that there's actually a lot more there that you haven't quite discovered earlier on.
Yes.
So it's a great topic to reflect and consider. Thank you for that great answer. From our Spanish chat, Juliana has asked about reputation. We see measurement methods emerging, and in some organizations, managers are more concerned with metrics than with the message. So I think that's a question about managers who are more concerned with numbers than with the sort of the heart and soul of the messaging. Sort of finding a better balance between those, or indeed, how can we actually get good numbers behind the messaging?
Yeah. So to begin to answer that, to broach that, it's a bit philosophical, even though it's fiscal and financial. I believe that part of all of my I found myself in conversations where I would say a lot of companies or activities are about raising awareness. Okay, fine. But I've said in a challenging way, no, all of our conversations need to start with raising awareness and end at the bottom line. So in every plan that I would put down on the table, I think it's really important to say, okay, if we succeed in raising awareness, how are we going to capitalize on that awareness in a very kind of clear and concise strategic way? Otherwise, we're going to be making ourselves famous, hoping we have an uplift in sales. So for people who are, and I know how organizations work like this, we have all of these, again, it's like data points. We have lots of data points. We have lifetime value, we have acquisition, user acquisition, retention. I think that's what we're alluding to here. Then ultimately, it's about revenue. It's about revenue coming from users at some point. So that's one of the two things that we really, really need. We need to collectively decide, where are we happy that the customer is spending in the right way with us? Is it individual units, or is it in a subscription? Like, what is important to us for the long-term health of our business commercially? The other part can be then any mix of where we decide the future of the business may lie. If it's in a subscription, are we getting user acquisition? And I really like ratios. For me now, if I sit down at the table, I'll say, okay, what's the ratio of user acquisition and retention? Are we only acquiring people and they use our service once? Or are we acquiring low and people are always using the service? And I think that if you can introduce two frames of reference to your conversation, you can kind of find more ways to see the bigger picture. So answering the question, I would look at revenue, how the organization decides revenue from which part of the business is useful. You know, do you want 10 customers that spend all the time, or 100 customers who just buy once? Commercial. And the other part would be how we define the success of our long-term strategy, because that's where our marketing comes from. If we have 10 customers and they're very happy year on year, we don't need to perhaps spend on inviting more customers. Perhaps we can save more money and make more profit by just taking care of 10 customers. So it does relate to the strategy of the company, but also relates to the commerciality of the service or product. So commercial, the strategic direction of the business, and then that helps you identify where you want to, or where you need to be spending more on marketing acquisition or customer experience and retention, you know? So I hope that helps.
Great, thank you very much. And it was just been pointed out to me, Juliana, of course, you're in the Brazilian chat. Apologies for muddling that up. That was a great answer. And then we have a question from Vibe Have, who says, what were the biggest challenges you faced while marketing alcohol? Because you obviously have specific experience in this area. Vibe Have is in India, where, of course, alcohol advertising is prohibited. Can you shed some light on some of the challenges you faced and how you've overcome them?
Yeah, And, you know, thank you very much for that. I'm going to be really honest with you. I was quite good at that area of business, and telling you the truth, my heart is on my sleeve. I found it very, should I admit to this? Yes. Sometimes it was not very inventive. I found that that type of business, it wasn't technological enough, if I'm really honest. And also I found that that was the one area that the more you spend on marketing and promotion, the more people buy. So you didn't have to be a kind of a necessarily Einstein in marketing. You just needed to spend more in marketing. I'm just being really candid, and I all respect to my colleagues who've worked in those areas. The other part of the discussion was I was starting to realize, perhaps it was experience, my personal interest in technology and making the world a bit better was starting to go a little bit against the grain, so to speak, of working in a regulated industry. I was just getting a little bit, perhaps, you know, tired of it a little bit. So on a personal level, on a professional level, I was starting to think for myself that, yeah, it wasn't very complicated. It was just spend more, you'll make more. Okay, sorry to all the friends and colleagues there. The other aspect is, I believe, you know, I don't believe that the problems of the world will be solved with alcohol. Sorry, guys, don't get me wrong. You know, I'm Irish man. I like a pint of Guinness, whatever, sometimes, no problem. But all things in moderation. And I understand the drink responsibly marketing methodology. I could tell you a lot of stuff about that. But I'll tell you the truth, that the problems of the world facing the world today will not be solved, completely solved, by a pint of Guinness. They'll be solved by a load of technology somewhere. Oh my gosh, God forgive me.
That's very true. Hearing an Irishman say that the Guinness won't solve all the problems of the world is a revelation.
World first, Michael, world first.
But I did love what you said earlier on, that the marketers are becoming citizens with a voice, which is very interesting as we kind of have to move into, you know, looking after our planet, looking after each other, and actually talking about the values that we embrace and enhance. And work on those together. I'm getting a voice in my ear, so we've got to wrap up. There are so many interesting questions. We could spend the next 30 minutes. You have really opened up and inspired people to ask you great questions, Hubert. So it's a great privilege, and it's always very hard to find which ones. But let's go for this one, Rodrigo. What do you think of brands including the values and belief on controversial matters such as LGBT pride? In the case of Bud Light and Target, it didn't really work. So should they do that? How do we approach this?
Oh, I love these questions, and I hope we can jump on. I'll drop a Twitter handle there. I'm very happy to feed in. But to answer this particular question, I do believe that, you know, the concerns of the woke ideology culture, which are perhaps creating a flagpole of influence in our world. Brands are, it's like there's a bit of a bandwagon, and the moment there's a majority of people doing the same thing, and you're not allowed to have a contrarian view, you have to ask yourself, is this the right thing for society? So I think that brands can accidentally go too far, and it's really important to have an authentic voice. We don't want to be patronizing. We have to speak to our values. That's why, if in my phrase of conscious marketeers, then if we're conscious enough, we'll say, well, it doesn't feel right, or we're going too far, or it's not, we don't have to do it, or it's okay, you know, we have our set of values. And if we have our values consciously attached, that will tell us the way forward. But I think there's a little bit of a culture these days where we have to do everything that is perceived as the right thing to do by everybody else. But if nobody's actually standing up for free speech, then it creates a problem in the long term, you know?
Mm-hmm. Good answer. And I think it's what you said, the word authentic. That's really true, that whatever you do, it has to be sort of said from the heart and be really meant, rather than just a gesture. And that's really a really interesting
great question
from that question. Yeah,
thank you for the question. Thank you very much.
Guys, we started late. We have had a good 15-minute run actually at the questions. So we certainly haven't cut them out, but we do need to move on. Hubert, thank you so much for
pleasure.
a really fascinating talk this afternoon. Lots of really great things I've noted down as well that I want to take away for myself. So thank you for that. All you guys out there, we're going to have a 15-minute break. So I think we'll be back at, I've just got to work this out now, 17. That's going to be 14:05. 14:50. Greenwich GMT. So back at 14:05 GMT, which is about 15 minutes. And we'll see you there for our next great speaker. So go and have a cup of coffee, pint of Guinness perhaps, and see you shortly. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Так, все, спасибо большое. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Hubert. Please stop record. Yeah, thanks a lot. Please stop record. Stop recording.